So let's talk fiberglass showers, shall we? So, little background on fiberglass showers. I haven't fact-checked this, so if anyone finds out that I'm wrong, just let me know. I'm sure you will. But the story that I use, which I believe to be true, and I think it probably is, in my hometown, as an example, when I was a little kid, we had a Webcraft boat, and Webcraft boat was made in a factory 30 or 40 miles from my hometown, which is pretty much, if across the country, I'm pretty sure how boat manufacturers used to be. So they build a series of state lakes across the country, and in those state lakes, soon to follow were mom and pop boat manufacturing operations out of their garage, which slowly over time grew to bigger and bigger boat factories. And in my hometown, the closest major Webcraft went out of business, although it was a badass boat. In fact, our boat is on Beaver Lake right now with its like 4th engine, and I'd like to buy it back one of these days. But 30 miles from my hometown in Neodesha, Kansas, was the Cobalt Boat Factory. And having had some business-to-business sales years ago in my early 20s, I used to call on the factory, so got kind of an inside look at the operation. And I'm pretty sure that in the off time of places like Cobalt Boats, they began to look for ways that they could keep the factory workers going and make extra money and keep the assembly line cranking. So someone came up with the bright idea to start making fiberglass showers. And in the early days of these fiberglass showers, these things were built like a frickin' tank, because fiberglass boat hull has to hit the water, and some of them are frickin' cool. And of course, a boat's splashing in the water, so a really good boat that sits in the water nonstop, it is a really well constructed fiberglass system. A great water management system, as we say at Bath Wizard. And so much so that every once in a while, it's about once a month, I'll see pictures from one of the reps who are in a house that has one of these, I'm probably guessing in the 70s model walk-in showers. And you'll see that they're still in perfect shape. They're just ugly as hell. Okay, they're from the 70s, and a lot of them are blue. I remember seeing one in Illinois that literally shocked the hell out of me. She'd been using it for 40 plus years, and the damn thing looked like brand new. It was just baby blue, and it was hard for her to step over. So next thing we know, we got a $16,000 shower in there. But I was shocked at how well they stood up, and made me even a bigger believer in fiberglass. So I could probably make a lot of money as a fiberglass salesman if they made them like they did in the old days. And I think there's one plant here in the United States that is still making them like the old days, and we've actually looked at maybe cutting a deal with them sometime soon if we enter new construction space. But yeah, fiberglass showers, one piece, are typically for new construction. Fast forward through the 80s, and God forbid, the worst period of time in manufacturing history, probably the 90s and 2000s. Those fiberglass showers that used to be this thick are now, some of them are paper thin, and I like getting samples of fiberglass showers that are torn out by the install crew, and I'm shocked at, even at Bath Wizard, showers we take out, just, there was no standard, there was no government watchdog, nobody was keeping an eye on what's called a fiberglass shower. So as you can imagine, as hucksters and people came in and out of the business, fiberglass is all over the map. So if you're selling to a guy like me who grew up with a dad who built the house that we lived in and picked out a really nice, well-built fiberglass system and then also installed it correctly, I'm not going to be easily convinced that your system at Bath Wizard is any better than fiberglass, which it is. The only advantage fiberglass has is that it's one piece, and that can be easily rectified with the fact that our Bath Wizard system is flexible. If your house flexes, so does your unit when properly installed. Your fiberglass unit, if it moves, it's just going to crack. It's too much pressure on it. But if you're with a guy like me who's grew up with a really good fiberglass unit, some of the stuff that you say, when your lips are moving, we're going to be hearing bullshit, because we just don't know. The only way to change someone's mind is to put more information in. So when you got a guy with a fiberglass, if he's in love with fiberglass, you're gonna have to do feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. Fiberglass used to be good. Here's what I found out. Fiberglass sucks now, pretty much. And even a really well-built fiberglass system, if they used harsh cleaners to clean it, it wore out. But luckily we don't have a lot of well-built fiberglass systems, so we don't want to get in the weeds too much on well-built fiberglass systems, because it's about 100-to-1 total bullshit junk in the fiberglass shower game. So hence Bath Wizard has stuff to do. We're busy because of all that cheap fiberglass. Now, new reps that come in, they start taking their moisture meter and putting it on fiberglass. Okay, well, your moisture meter is designed to see moisture underneath, so unless the coating is completely worn off, which is almost never, I mean, certainly we come across those, but new guys going out, they start putting their moisture meter on fiberglass, and if you're meeting with a guy like me, you're going to look like a moron. I'm going to think, oh wow, what a con artist. He's pulling out this bag to find moisture underneath a fiberglass shower. How in the hell is there going to be any moisture under a fiberglass shower? So don't use your moisture meter on a fiberglass system. What is appropriate on a fiberglass system is your black light. So pull out your black light, have the customer put a towel over the window, tell the husband, kill the lights for me, Mr. Jones, and then just take your black light. And just moan and shake your head gently in disbelief, and just whisper under your breath, mumble under your breath, as that popular song from the 80s, sometimes you say it best when you say nothing at all. Yeah, saying nothing at all and just mumbling and grimacing and grunting and shaking your head. Woo. Who could resist a final whoo at the end of it? A little Ric Flair whoo would be nice. So sit there and stare at the fucking thing and just shake your head. Then after you shake it, tap on it. You got to lean in closer for effect when you're tapping. That's the universal sign of I'm listening. Tap in all four corners. Then, of course, Did you guys install this? Reason you want to ask, did they install it? Because if they did, you don't want to offend them. So normally they haven't, because our customers typically aren't the do-it-yourselfer, although we do come across some who used to be a do-it-yourselfer and have now, by the way, no one is a do-it-yourselfer in their 60s, and if they are, they soon will not be. They will soon regret it, for the most part. Now, did you guys put this in? Okay. Do you know you didn't put it in? Do you know who put it in? You think the builder put it in? Okay. Do you know why he picked this particular unit? Or were you in on any of the talks? Oh no, you bought the house a year ago. I'm an idiot. Yeah. Do you know much about this unit? By the way, they might know a lot about the unit. You might be meeting with someone that knows more than you sometimes, so you might ought to ask. It's helpful and pushes the customer further back in the corner, because if you got a guy that really knows, he's going to tell you all about it. Blah, blah, blah. Listen to me. I'm smart. You know, pot calling the kettle black. Look who's making all these videos, right? No, these videos are helpful. It's not about my ego. It's to help you guys. So, get them talking. Do you know much about this unit, Mr. Jones? And then, of course, Frank Ramirez, new guy at Bath Wizard, he's throwing out there, what ideas do you have, which will come in a little later, but get them talking. Do you know anything about it? Well, the reason I'm asking, if they say no and they don't know shit about it, which will be most of them, that gives you position to begin to tell. Now, I used to teach salesmen, if your lips are moving, that's bad. You need to have 2 ears and 1 mouth. However, there's certain places where we've got a seed plant, and if you've been listening to the Jordan Belfort series, instead of talking about fishing and hunting and stupid shit, which is what morons do that are new to sales, and start talking about Bath Wizardy shit, which is what they're hiring you to provide a service, okay? They want you to be an expert. Jordan Belfort says they want an expert in the field, and they do, okay? Any person I talk to that's trying to sell me something, if he doesn't know more than me, the conversation's fucking over. I don't have time for that bullshit. People are too busy. Your customers are too busy. Even your retired customers that are asleep on the couch, their mind thinks they're too busy. Well, they're all too busy to talk about shit they don't want to talk about, guys. So, get them talking about Bath Wizardy shit. Do you know anything about this unit? And they will most likely say no. And then, if you want, I think it's never a bad idea to tell a good, do you guys know anything about fiberglass systems and how they came about? Okay, throw in the story about how they came about. And if they're like me and did you guys ever grow up at the lake? Know anybody with a boat? Cobalt boats, that's good fiberglass. Anchor it. Anchor good fiberglass to Cobalt boats. Hit the waves, crashing on the waves. They'll understand what that means. Give us a little sunlight here. Nope, too much. Perfect. So get them talking about what they know about fiberglass. Anchor, where you attach something of high value to good. That's good fiberglass and Cobalt boats. If they've ever done any boating in the past, and if you've ever done any boating in the past, Cobalt's a really big branded boat. So that'll be a good anchor for high quality fiberglass. Okay, high quality fiberglass. When fiberglass came out, it was done by boat manufacturers who are used to waves hitting the hull of the boat. Okay, and then I'm just gonna call them our friends across the pond, and it started with the Europeans. Europeans are white guys. Typically, white guys started making them cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and then the guys across the pond took making them cheaper to an extreme. It was like an extreme sport for them, or like a game. They were like, they come into the board meeting and say, guys, if you thought the fiberglass on the market was shitty, just wait till you see how fucking shitty I'm gonna make it. They started adding fucking cardboard to the back of it. Some of you got some cardboard fiberglass samples, so you know what I'm talking about. It'll back up. By the way, instead of saying it, get one of those. Start going in the dumpster at Bath Wizard and getting fiberglass samples. The more the better. If I was going back out in the field, I'd have 5 fiberglass samples so I could easily point out the differences. You know, Jordan Belfort says his parents used to defer to the doctor, defer to an expert. Okay. Your lips are moving, the customer's assuming you're lying, but when you hand them shit and it all adds up, smart guy, knows more than me, more information in. I like this guy, more information in. I like this guy. I'm getting something out of this exchange, whether I bought from Bath Wizard or don't. I instantly like this guy because he's teaching me something I don't already know. That's more information. That's a great encounter for a customer. A bad encounter is you show up, talk about fishing, hunting, and bullshit, and at the end give them a price that they think's too high. At the end of it, they're like, I fucking hate salespeople. Okay? So, fiberglass units, black light, tapping. Do you know much about it? And then here's another thing you can talk about fiberglass. A really good fiberglass system can also be installed by a dipshit. So there's that. You're going to be looking to see if it's installed correctly, which is kind of hard to see, but I'll give you a hint. Tapping on the bottom, tapping on the sides. If I was taking up installing fiberglass showers or as a career, or I was going to install one for myself, I could get a cheap one to work pretty good. I'd spray spray foam in that motherfucker. I would pour a concrete base. I'd have it all fucking level. I would give me about a 1/4 of an inch gap around all of the corners and maybe put some caulking. That way it would have like an insulation factor if the house shifted. Nobody's going to install it and put that much thought into it, because at Bath Wizard, all we think about is bathrooms. That's why we stay in this niche. And when we start thinking of other ideas, it's like, pop, back to bathrooms is where we need to be, because we're going to kick everybody's ass. So even a good fiberglass system, if installed by a moron, is bad. But I'll let you in on a little hint. All fiberglass, by and large, is pretty much shit. Except I did go take a shower about 6 months ago. My dad built a new house for himself. Although my dad's a tightwad and got a little 36-inch shower, which feels like you're inside a fucking coffin. My dad installed it very well. I was tapping on it and not a lot of echoey sound. So he picked out a good fiberglass system, installed it really well. And then the last house that he had built, got to use that shower for about 10 years in a row every Christmas when I would visit. And that one, a little less fancy of a fiberglass shower. The quality wasn't quite as good as the new one. So even with my dad, the quality will go up and down depending on when and where he bought it. But long story short, the big problem after the tapping. By the way, if you see someone putting a shower seat in a fiberglass system, you need to let them know that the engineers did not plan on 4 legs and somebody heavy sitting down on it. They were thinking of feet and pressure evenly distributed across your feet, not 4 individual poles with pressure on one as you're sitting down. And sometimes as you're older, you're all you young guys, you don't know what we're talking about yet, but you're just going to start falling down almost because your fucking hips and knees are giving out. Your customers are going to wake up in a pool of blood when they finally knock themselves out and their wife is tapping them on the shoulder. Honey, wake up. You've been knocked out for 4 hours, because the fucking seat's going to go through the floor. They're going to fall and hit their head. They're going to collapse out on the floor, and they're going to have oozing goo of spit or blood, just like a movie. Guys, you gotta paint a good picture, and that's a horrible picture, but that's what a lot of families walk in and find their relatives looking like, who do stupid shit like putting a chair on a fiberglass system made in, I'm not going to say the word, but across the sea. TikTok, I know you're listening. But anyway, fiberglass and four-legged chairs, bad idea. Another thing that we see a lot is a 48-inch shower, and some dipshit. Remember in the 20 years ago when it was all the rage? They've got a built-in bench in their shower. They're a baller. Baller alert. He's got a bench shower. So the fiberglass people were like, ha ha ha, we could put bench showers in ours too. We're greedy, greedy, greedy. And they put these little tiny fucking seats, and you guys are seeing them in the corners. Can't sit in the thing. There's a couple times in my life in my early 20s, I was able to sit on them with a friend, if you know what I mean. But aside from sitting on them with a friend in your 20s, or having a cool place to put your friend's leg in your 20s, after age 40, they're not that cool, okay? They become shampoo holders. And your customers are going to just have them filled with shit. So when you look at it, one of our biggest projects right now, Mrs. Jones, is taking out these 4836s. You know why I call it a 4836? Is because of X, blank, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, just that seed plant of one of our biggest projects right now, the customer's like, fuck, how'd I miss out on this fad? Your customers want to get on the fads, the trends, so every chance I can get of throwing in, and everyone's doing it, and one of our most popular projects right now. Gosh, Mrs. Jones, our phone's ringing off the hook right now for these 4836s. Our phone's ringing off the hook right now for X. So 22 minutes in, that's some pretty good talking on fiberglass. I think the next video will do some fiberglass and the coatings and the finishings and what happens there. So